Veeryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. My humble prostrations and salutations at the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Blessed devotees, Sai Ram. What happened? Some of you are not in talking terms with me. Sai Ram. I'm really delighted and feel very blessed to be here this morning. Thank you very much. I'll be speaking to you for a few minutes, and thereafter I was told we'll open the floor for questions. I think I'll tell you a story for especially the younger ones here. A very simple story. There was a pond, very pretty, very beautiful pond, and every day a party of ducks will come to the pond, swim into the pond, and eat all those weeds and everything. It'll come up, climb the banks of the pond, swim again, and this used to be the daily routine for this group of ducks. One day, a small little chick saw this duck swimming, climbing up, again swimming, so merrily enjoying it. And this little chick thought, I also want to swim. And when the little chick got the desire to swim, immediately the chicken remembered the mother's warning that don't go anywhere near the pond. But the mother didn't tell her why you shouldn't go. The mother chicken told, don't go near the pond. That's all he said. But the little chicken thought, why should I not go near the pond? I can see the duck's beak is round and my beak is pointed. Is that the reason I should not go there? Is that the reason I will get drowned? Because mother told the little chicken, don't go near the pond, you'll get drowned. So the chicken thought, okay, I can see the duck's beak is rounded and my beak is pointed. Is that any reason that I should be drowned? But the chicken had deep desire to swim, right?
What chicken?
But the chicken thought, I think my mother doesn't know what she's talking about. I should try. Right? And the chicken, when the mother is not around, and the chicken decided to take a plunge. Right? And by the time the chicken decided to take a plunge, and you know the story.
What?
Right? Right? You have guessed what happened, right? The chicken plunged into the pond, and then the chicken realized too late that the mother's caution were true. The chicken splashed, and she dashed, and struggled to swim to keep afloat on water, and slowly the chicken drowned and died. And the ducks all around started quacking because they are helpless, they cannot save the chicken, right? And all the ducks were standing around and talking very seriously the grave danger of not minding the parent. Right? The chicken ignored the warning of the parents. By the time the chicken realized that the cautions of the parents were true, it was too late. Right? Now, who is the mother chicken? Who is the parent? Our Swami, Shastras, the scriptures. Right? Now this is a little poem not only for the children, even for adults also, right? Do you know Bhagavad Gita cautions us, warns us that one of the most dangerous thing within each one of us that we must be so careful about is our likes and dislikes. Bhagavan Sri Krishna calls it Raga Dvesha. Raga means what you like, Dvesha means what you dislike. He says, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, he uses 3 words to describe our likes and dislikes are our worst enemy. He says Shatru. Shatru in Sanskrit means deadly foe. Paripantino meaning terrible enemy. Nitya Vairi meaning perpetual enemy. You know, between the ages of about 15 to about 25 years of our age, I would say 10 to 25 years of our age, you find our likes and dislikes become very prominent in our life. And we make decisions based on what we like, isn't it? We choose what we like and discard what we dislike. Now, this is where we get into serious troubles in life. Just like the little chicken likes to swim, all right? But the chicken doesn't know how to swim.
What?
Right? The ducks can swim. The chicken doesn't have webbed feet, isn't it? Whereas ducks have got webbed feet so that it's capable of swimming. And their body is designed such a way, aerodynamically designed such a way it can swim. But the chicken did not understand that. Very often that is what we do. Right? Remember, one of the most important skill that every single one of us need to learn is the skill in making decisions. The most important job that every one of us do is making decision. And if you are somebody who knows how to make a decision, or you can help the other people to make a decision, such people earn the highest money in the world. Decision makers earn the highest, isn't it? If you look at a factory, who are the people who really work? The factory workers, isn't it? But who earns the maximum? CEO. And what do the CEOs do in the world? They sit in the cabin and make decisions, isn't it? So when you participate in the Bal Vihar, all right, now that is when you are able to control your likes and dislikes and able to make decisions that are much more rewarding, right? Let me give you a choice, right? Let's say if I come to your house for your little brother's birthday, a little child, brother or sister, maybe 3-year-old child, maybe 2 years, you know, UK kids are very smart, so I must reduce the age, all right? I come to your house with a gift, and it happened to be the child's birthday. I come with a gift. The gift is that on one hand, I have a bar of chocolate, all right? On the other hand, I have 100,000 pounds. And I come to your house and say, baby, it's your birthday today. Many, many happy returns of the day. I have a gift for you. The choice is yours. The bar of chocolate and 100,000 pounds. All right. When I give the choice, right, the child so lovingly, so innocently rushing towards the chocolate. And as the child is rushing towards the chocolate, the mother is hiding behind the door and says, come to the money, come to the money. Right? Now my question to you friends is that why does the child grab the chocolate and not the money? Because the child only understands the instant pleasure of the chocolate. The child only understands the momentary pleasure of the chocolate. As you know, the chocolate, before the chocolate reaches the tongue, there is no pleasure. After the chocolate leaves the tongue, there is no pleasure. The pleasure of the chocolate is only when the chocolate is in contact with the tongue, isn't it? Not before, not after, right? That is what they say, you know, the chocolate, a moment on your lips and A lifetime on your hips, very difficult to get it off it. Our children, I know many parents don't seem to understand how crucial it is to bring the children to Bal Vihar. I know it's difficult on a Sunday morning, waking them up itself is difficult, all right? But then that is when you make a big difference in their life, when you expose them to making decision not based on momentary pleasures but based on delayed gratification. In fact, as we were driving, Siren and myself was chatting, and I agree with what Siren said. I've seen many Balaviyas, children who were in their toddlers to grown up to be highly professional. Many of the Balavya children are very highly successful professional, and I've seen it myself, and I'm sure every one of you can vouch for that, isn't it? Why? Because they were exposed to the values so that they make decisions based on delayed gratification. All right? There are two factors that governs the decisions today. One is instant gratification, second is selfishness. So I told you the example of instant gratification. All right? Now let me give you another choice. All right? The choice that I have for you, on one hand, I have the statue of Ravana. You all know Ravana, isn't it? The Ramayana's character. On one hand, I have the statue of Ravana. On the other hand, I have the statue of Rama, Lord Ram. All right? I come to your house and ask you to make a choice. What would you choose? Ram, isn't it? What did you choose? The little boy. What's your name? Sorry? Prajwal. Prajwal, what did you choose? Ram or Ravana? Ram. Now I tell you, the statue of Ram is made of wood. Statue of Ravana is made of 24 karat fine gold. Now what will you choose? Or be honest. What will you choose? Don't lie, I can read your mind. Yes, perhaps you will still choose Ram. But do you know something? In the world today, people make decisions based on that. So long as their personal interest is satisfied, we are all custodians of religion, culture, spirituality, all of those. The moment we have to sacrifice our selfishness, ego and self-interest, we would rather sacrifice the spiritual value than sacrifice our selfishness. Meaning, we would choose Ravana because it's made of 24 karat fine gold. Alright? Now, Bhagavad Gita, among all the other scriptures, right, is one of the scriptures that tells us how to make decision, and Sri Krishna only places facts before us, and towards the end he says, Yada ichchasi tatha kuru. Even Swami places the laws and principles which we call spiritual values in front of us, and he tells us, you choose your life. Every single one of us, we are a product of our choices. Right? So we got to train, we got to reprogram our mind so that we make choices and decisions that will bring consequences much later, much rewarding consequences. Let me give you a third choice. Right? The third choice that I have for you is, I'll give you £3 million, dollars, $3 million, right? $3 US, not Zim dollars. Zimbabwean dollars, right? $3 million once off. All right? Choice number one. Choice number two is 1 penny. 1 pence that will double itself every single day for next 31 days. Now don't pick up your mobile phone and start calculating. All right? The choice is $3 million once off, 1 penny that will double itself for next 31 days. What will you choose? I know there are very great statisticians and calculators here, right? All right, youngsters, what will you choose? 1 penny or $3 million once off? What will you choose, little girl? 1 pence or $3 million? $3 million. 1 pence or $3 million? 3 million.
I would choose the penny.
Choose a penny.
If you do the maths, that adds up to more than $3 million.
All right. All right. Wait. 1 penny. What's your name, sister? Sujata. 1 penny. Tomorrow it'll become 2. Day after tomorrow it'll become 4. All right. Doesn't seem significant, isn't it? After 4 days, it become probably 8 penny. 8. After 31 days, that 1 pence becomes about $10.7 million. You do the arithmetics. All right. Now, when we make choices, all right, when you come to the satsang, when you participate in the spiritual practices, it is like choosing a penny. It doesn't seem any impact. You come and invest 1 hour in bhajans and kirtans. Doesn't seem right. But when you do that every Sunday or as frequently as you can, when I say as frequently, not less than 1 week, all right? Maybe more than once a week, but definitely once a week. When you do it consequently for a long period of time, all right, it is like choosing 1 penny. The impact that it will have on your life is phenomenal, right? So remember, our life is a product of choices. But unfortunately, our academic education, you may be brilliant academically. There are plenty of people in the world who are academically brilliant, but some of them are notoriously poor decision makers. Academic intelligence does not help you to make quality decisions. We are misconstrued. We misunderstand. You can be a brilliant scientist or a brilliant mathematician from some of the reputed universities in Europe or UK, but that doesn't help you to make a decision. If you want to make decisions, you need spiritual values. There are many parents who believe that, they only want their children to be academically brilliant. They pressurize them for doing the homework, which of course, I don't say it's wrong. But they deny themselves the spiritual value. And when they grow up, when they become 20s, 30s, they find making decisions based on instant gratification, and when they get themselves into trouble later. Some of the very important decisions that you make, it's between 15 to 25, 30 years of your age. Decision to choose a career, right? Decision to choose to a place to live in or a country to live in. Decision to choose to get married. Decision to what career that, these are all decisions that they impact your rest of your life. Most people make these decisions based on momentary pleasures. Much later, they go through consequences. Remember, in life, right, there are 2 pains that we go through, all right? The 2 pains are the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Only 2, there is a saying that we say in our corner parlance, we say, behind every successful man, there is a What I would say is that behind every successful man, there is a pain. What pain? What pain?
Not this side. This is not.
It's a fact. Behind every successful man, there is a pain. What pain?
I'm afraid because they have to go home after.
They are afraid to say that. Don't say woman, I didn't say that. Behind every successful man, there is a pain, and that pain is pain of discipline. If you do not endure the pain of discipline now, you are sure to go through the pain of regret later. Alright? So therefore, we got to learn to make decisions based on pain. Life must hurt you sometimes. When you make a difficult decision that will hurt you now, are the decision that will reward later. All right, I'll take up some questions now.
SSE children, come on, you've studied the Gita, you studied Ramayana, Vajigovindam. You must have lots of questions. Not just the children, adults as well.
Yeah, adults can pose questions for the children, maybe.
nice topic. Thank you. I enjoyed it. So, question linked to what you spoke at the end about letting children make decisions. So, what's the I don't know how to put it, but probably you'll understand it. Is to what an extent should parents interfere or involve themselves in the decision-making process? Because you come from certain value systems and you have some experiences, whereas the children are yet to learn through their experience. So, I sometimes, in my personal case, just learning as my boy is growing up, is how much to involve and where to stop. I think that's a question for both my wife and me together.
Definitely we shouldn't interfere in their decision making, right? But what we need to do is that today there is always a generation gap between the parents and children. It is created by the parents, right? Why? Because we did not create our household such a way that the parents feel secure to communicate with the parents, all right? So when you have that trust, love and respect, the three words we need to remember, right? Trust, love and respect. When there is a combination of trust, love and respect, it is called reverence, right? When children have that trust, love and respect towards the parents, right? They would not mind listening to the parents' advice and suggestion, especially when they become a teenager. Remember, teenage is the time where their identity is formed, and when their identity is formed, they tend to become rebel, right? They develop that ego, uncontrolled ego. We need to convert uncontrolled ego into self-esteem. So therefore, our parenting should start, in fact, ideally, parenting should start before the child is even conceived. In the Hindu Shastras, they describe how we need to start parenting, whereas most people start parenting when the children become about 5 years old. They say, okay, let's start parenting, take them to Bal Vihar. That is fantastic, taking them to Bal. But what we need to do is to create an environment such a way that the children feel so secure with their parents, not afraid. When they are insecure, that is when the word that you use, they appear that you're interfering with them. All right? You have the best interest for the children, isn't it? Every parents have got best interest for the children, but the children don't know that. All right? Why? Because we parents create. Parenting is an art. Swami gives so many instruction, advice and literatures, etc., but hardly anybody use it. I say that they use it, but not, much later they realize, my God, what mistake that I made with the parenting. So my suggestion is that, to answer your question, to what extent you should involve. It is a family. It's a family unit. So every decision, they must they should feel secure to take your suggestions and advice. All right. But we have created a barrier between we and parents. What we call generation gap, isn't it? So remember, as I mentioned to you, their mind is such that it is always seeking momentary pleasure. Now, this is the platform, the avenue where they learn that, we were talking about the mantra, the chanting, Vedam chanting, etc. It is, we don't seem to understand the impact it has got upon the children's mind. The word mantra, by the way, the word mantra has got two Sanskrit connotations, right? I'm giving one example of helping the children, right? The word mantra means trayate iti mana mantra, meaning that which protects your mind is mantra, right? So when you chant the mantra, or when you teach the children to chant the mantra, it protects their mind from what? From the negative emotions, all right? Trayate iti mana mantra. That which protects your mind is mantra. The another interpretation, another derivation is mananat trayate. Mananat means through reflection. So children are not, their mind is not developed to reflect upon the meaning of the Vedam. All right? They simply chant, right? But when they grow up, they begin to reflect upon the meaning. So when they are young, trayate iti mana mantra. Just by chanting the mantra, it has got influence, and it's been proven by science. When they grow older, they begin to understand the meaning and they begin to reflect upon the meaning. Mananat trayade. Manana means reflection. And it protects the mind. So when they are young, the negative influence, because the world that we live in, the world sometimes is very cruel, because everything in this world is so instantly gratifying. There is instant tea, instant coffee, fast food, today instant marriage also. Everything is instant. So we need to protect our children. So what do? This is the arena. So we need to create an environment such a way that our children feel secure with ourselves. Then they won't see it as an interference, isn't it?
Hi. So apart from delaying the gratification, any other tips you would like to give for successful decision making? I see, read a lot of articles, accept from your failures,
Right.
fall down, stand up and make the decision again, this time way too differently.
Right.
Any other thing which is, the children can also easily understand?
Yeah. Now, as I touched upon it earlier, there are two words, intelligence and decision making, right? Now, intelligence will not help us to make a decision. Intelligence means well informed in one or more subjects, all right? A person can be brilliant in accounting or physics or chemistry or whatever. That is intelligence. Then there is another tool called intellect, buddhi, right? Buddhi is the intellect. So one of the objectives of spiritual study, study of the Shastras, is to strengthen the intellect, right? When the intellect is strong, intellect is able to control the whims and fancies of the mind. At the moment, although very often people are very intelligent, they don't have the control over the mind. Have you come across people, they are brilliant in their career? Could be, I know one scientist, he's retired from NASA in the US, came back to Bangalore, living there, brilliant, all right? Those days, he used to decide what kind of metal to choose, with the rockets, all those kind of decisions he makes. But he can't control his anger. He can't control his drinking habits, all right? He's not able to control his emotions. Intelligence, but he's got all kinds of weakness. Are you understanding? Why? Because he's intelligent, but no development of the intellect. So what is intellect? What is buddhi? Intellect is the capacity to control your emotions like anger, jealousy, greed, arrogance, vanity, right? Intellect is the capacity to control your senses, right? Intellect is the capacity to control our ego. See, if you look at the psychosomatic structure of a human being, unlike animals, right? Human beings are designed such a way our head is placed over the heart and the head, right? Whereas animals, head and the heart is in the same level. Animals cannot control their emotions, all right? But of course, animals have got certain built-in control. As a result, many animals don't have the sense weakness. Meaning, for example, food. Animals don't eat food for pleasure. They only eat food for the health and to quench the hunger. It is only human beings who eat food for pleasure. Animals do not mate for pleasure. They only mate for procreation. It is human beings who make procreation their recreation, isn't it? Whereas, so you find animals have got a built-in discipline, but they don't have the intellect to control. But we have a free will. You can choose what you want. But we also have a very strong intellect which we need to develop, right? So study of the Shastras, study of the Bhagavad Gita, when we study Swami's works, right? What happens is it strengthens our intellect to control the whims and fancies of the mind. So therefore, to answer your question, right? There is a way that we need to start our day. Most people, what they do is, they wake up literally 15 minutes before they need to leave home. They wake up, first of all, waking up is a problem for most people. We have what we call a time gap between waking up and getting up. Yes. We switch on we set the alarm to wake up at 5 o'clock, right? When the alarm goes off, you put it on snooze. After 5 minutes, they again goes off, again you put it on snooze. By the time you realize already 5:30, you need to leave at 5:45. And you realize, my God, it's 45. You jump out of the bed, all very busy. You quickly nibble something and hit the road. Now we need to have what we call as a time for yourself. From the time you wake up till you leave home. You need at least about 1.5 hours, of which 1 hour you need to invest in your self-development. Alright? So I will give you a quick capsule. Alright? 5 practices every day. Alright? From the time you wake up to leave your home. And no weekend, no vacation for these 5 practices. Weekend and weekdays you must do it. Because most people, okay, weekend, I will wake up at 10 o'clock. Weekdays, because they have to leave home at 6 o'clock, they wake up for 5:30. That's not enough. 5 practices. Remember, we have Pancha Kosha. The 5 layers of our personality, the Pancha Koshas. Correspond to these 5 koshas, the 5 daily practice. Right? The first of the 5 practices are hydration. You got to drink at least about 3 cups of water. When you sleep for about 6 or 7 hours, you lose about 3.5 cups of water through breathing, passing urine, etc. Hydration, all right? Our body needs water. The second is oxygenation, breathing. About minimum 10 minutes of deep breathing, pranayama, right? Oxygenation. The third practice is inspiration. Inspiration is read some of the spiritual literatures. Meaning about 45 minutes of reading, reflecting spiritual literatures. And when you read spiritual literatures, you leave home with confidence. You leave home with the feeling that I can conquer the world. Never leave home with the feeling, my God, what a terrible job I have. What a terrible boss I have. You leave home with the spirit of confidence. I'm grateful that I have a job. Inspiration. So how do we do that? Reading spiritual literatures. Fourth practice is meditation. Meditation, the 5 koshas are Annamaya kosha, food sheath, Pranamaya kosha, white layer sheath, Manomaya kosha, mental sheath, Vijnanamaya kosha, intellectual sheath, and Anandamaya kosha, which is bliss sheath, right? So meditation to keep your mind peaceful and keep the intellect alert. And the fourth practice is affirmation. That is, making positive affirmations every day that I can do it, I'm capable of it, I'm grateful, I'm fantastic. Our mind automatically making negative affirmation without you knowing. We all make a negative affirmation, oh, my life is terrible, my job is terrible. We don't realize that. So to make positive affirmation, you must do it consciously. Right. Now, affirmation, you already know what affirmation is. Okay, let me ask you a question. What is the most important word that every single one of us use every day? I'll ask the younger ones. Adults, please wait. All right. I'll ask the younger ones. What's the most important word that you all use every day? What's the most important word that all is? Sorry? Love. It is important. But so there's something far more important than that. What's the most? Yes, please. I. Spot. What's your name?
Mohit.
Sorry?
Mohit.
Mohit. Well done to Mohit. All right. Mohit, you're spot on. The most important word that every single one of us use every day is the first person singular pronoun I. Ultimately, that's what we want to reach, I, meaning the Supreme Self, right? Why it is so important is because that is the password that every one of us use to reprogram our causal body or Karana Sharira, which Western word called subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind is more powerful than the conscious mind, isn't it? So whenever you make a statement, when you say I am, whatever thoughts, feelings, emotions, sentiments, idea that follows the word I gets straight away programmed in your subconscious mind. All right. So when you say I am grateful, I am intelligent. That's not arrogance, that is self-confidence. All right? I am powerful. I can do it. Now this, you got to do it consciously. All right? I am not good enough. You do it anyway. That is a tragedy, because we make a subconscious negative affirmation. So the fifth practice is affirmation. All right? So you must start the day with these 5 practices. Right? Of which I would say the most important is reading the scriptures. Most people keep study of the Shastras as a post-retirement recreation. After they retire, when they don't have anything else to do, let's read Bhagavad Gita. No, it is meant to be studied at this little children's age. And even basic, I'm not saying you must memorize all the verses. Obviously, some people have a flair for that, that's okay. But I'm talking about the understanding certain values and principles. All right? So that will help you to strengthen your intellect, to control the whims and fancies of the mind. All right? So development of the intellect is one of the most important exercises. When the intellect is strong enough, that is what I would call a person of character. A person of character is one whose reason rules the emotion. All right? Such a person is not swayed by the emotions, either his own emotions or other people's emotions. But unfortunately today, most people make decisions based on emotion. And 2 powerful emotions that govern the world today is fear and greed. Says according to Harvard Business School. They say 2 most powerful emotions that governing the business world and the entire world today is fear and greed. Every decisions are made based on fear and greed. Right? And it's true for individually also. So therefore strengthening the intellect. I don't know the time, so you can guide me with your time, right? Any other questions? Usually, the ladies are the think tank at home, but today questions seem to be coming from men folks. Yeah. As you know, I have a talk today at the Sri Murugan temple, all right? And the topic is when prayer becomes your habit, miracles become your lifestyle, as a topic. So, today, unfortunately, a lot of people understand prayer is only what they do in their prayer hall or when we come for satsang. Prayer is much deeper and much more than that, right? So that's the topic for this evening at 4 o'clock, all right? You will do well to participate in that, because we don't want, during the satsang on a Sunday between 9 to 10, we are here. Sorry? Oh, beg your pardon, it's 3 o'clock. My apologies. At 3 o'clock, Sri Murugan temple. When we come to the bhajans on a Sunday from 9 to 10, of course, Bala Vikas thereafter, we are all in a very deeply prayerful mood, understandable. But then that's not the only prayer. What happens when you're in the office? How do we pray there? When you're driving, how do we pray there? Prayer is not a part-time pastime. It is something deeper than that. So that is the subject matter. So everything can be converted into a prayer, and how do we do that? That is the subject matter of discussion at 3 o'clock today. All right. So if you haven't received the flyer, maybe I'm sure it will be circulated, or you can let us know. But we don't need to. The timing is at 3 o'clock. Sri Murugan Temple in Milton, Keynes, and the topic. That's all you need to know. So even if you don't receive the flyer, that's okay. All right. So if there are no questions, anything else to discuss? Yes, please.
Angajan, thank you very much. That was a really inspirational talk. It's always good to hear you. Second or third time I've heard you speak. Just some advice for children about meditation, the importance of meditation, or just a simple practice that they could have sort of a ritual practice to get into.
Right. meditation is a vast subject, and there are different types of meditation that are prescribed in the Shastras. And then many modern gurus have improvised their own way of meditation, and all of that are helpful, right? But I would say for the children, right, starting with the chanting of the mantras. As I mentioned, the word mantra itself means that will protect their mind. Some children have a flair for learning the mantra. They pick up very fast, right? So that is one thing. And sometimes they may not be chanting, but even playing the mantra that will put them into meditative mood, right? Secondly, silence. If you are somebody who's actually enjoying the silence even for a few minutes, right? Afterwards they become restless. That's okay. Now, as we train them, the ability to enjoy the silence become longer and longer and longer, right? So let's teach them to sit silently for a few minutes. Thereafter, you can chant the mantra Om, right? Or whichever mantra that is most appropriate for them. It could be the Swami's name, or the mantra Om is the most potent mantra that is discovered by our sages and saints. And the mantra Om that doesn't belong to Hindus only. Hindu sages and saints discovered it and present to the world, right? So we do not claim a right over it, but it's a nature's mantra, it is universe's mantra, all right? And that mantra has got a phenomenal effect, and somebody need to chant it, softly, when I say softly, slowly, melodiously, and let the children be. See, one thing we must always be mindful about children is that the moment we compel them, right, their mind tend to rebel against it. Do's and don'ts are not meant for the children, right? So very often, like I mentioned to you earlier, we create monsters in our own household because some parents only know to say, do this and don't do this, do this and don't do this, isn't it? In fact, once a little girl was asked, what's your name, baby? She said, I don't know my name, but my mummy always calls me don't. Everything that was said, don't do the do's, right? So, but we need to coax them, we need to encourage them, all right? How you do it, you're all expert, welfare teachers. You can adopt your own methods, right? So those are the things that I would suggest for the children, in terms of meditation, right? And also, not every children are meditative too long, so we need to strike a balance, because some children after 10 minutes they become very restless, right? It must be made palatable and enjoyable to them. So shorter but deeper.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just aware of time, Brother Angajan. That was a really delightful speech. Lots of interesting things for us all to think about and take away from. And after listening to your speech now, I'm actually looking forward to joining you this afternoon at the Murugan Temple to listen to you there again. Are there any more questions to wrap it up? At the Murugan Temple from 3 o'clock. Neath Hill. It's on the email announcements. We'll talk to you later as well. If anyone else needs the details or the address, come and see me or Brother Seelan at the end and we'll give you the details.
Can I just add a question? Swami has given us the 9-point code of conduct. The very first one is daily meditation and prayer. And even in the daily meditation and prayer, Swami has prescribed what we start our day. The first thing we get up in the morning is a morning prayer. Then you do the 21 Om cards.